Alright, so what's going on, everybody? I'm gonna go check the live feed really quick to see, make sure that I'm live. This is the first time I've done a Hangouts to my tablet. This might be easier to start doing Hangouts like this. Alright, so it looks like I'm live. So, I wanted to do this Hangout to really address some things. I'm gonna pull up the chat to make sure I can keep this open. So I really wanted to do this Hangout to talk about really anything and everything that's on your guys' mind. I might put the link out there so that you guys can comment if you guys want. So that you guys can talk about some stuff. There's going to be a debate in about a month or so with myself and Dragnox. I know that there's been some people saying that, or Dragnox himself has actually been saying as well that I have a restriction that he's not able to name call or call names or Sarah drama or anything like that. Otherwise, there's not going to be a debate. Really, the debate was G-Man's idea. We were talking with each other over a call, and honestly, I don't really care what he says or what he wants to go on about. There's no restriction. You know, it's just not going to be like, you know what, if you say something that I don't want to hear or something that you think is going to be rude, then we're not going to have the debate. It just doesn't really matter to me because really most of what Drag says is just childish. It doesn't really bother me. But yeah, that wasn't really a rule that I set up. I think it was just something that that G-Man set up so that he could, you know, there could be peace, which is a good thing, I guess. But yeah, I think that Dragnox, if you're watching this, I think what you should do though is you should do your best to do some research and make sure that you you prepare yourself a script. Make sure that you do enough research to be able to engage, because I'm going to be making sure that let me put it like this: the way that I'm going to argue is going to be similar to what you've heard, but it's not going to be the same thing. I'm going to be bringing up a lot of stuff that you have probably not heard me bring up before. So I think that's something you should prepare yourself for. This chat is taking forever to load up. I don't know why. I took the other laptop out of my front room. There we go. Okay, so Mrs. Dragnox in the chat, she said, well, G-Man told us this was your rules. But one of the rules that I wanted for Dragnox to do is I wanted Dragnox to mirror the discussion on his channel. That way it would, you know, plant a seed on his channel where people could hear my side without anybody's opinions of what my side is. That's really the only rule that I really have. I mean, he can talk, he can say whatever he wants. He's really, nothing that he says really bothers me, that trash talk and all that. But yeah, he can say whatever he wants. He can do whatever he wants to do. I just hope that he doesn't edit that video in any way, shape, or form, because you know, this discussion, how I want it to be is I want it to be one of those discussions where a lot of people are gonna. I want it to be sophisticated, and I want to make sure that people, when they see this discussion, they're going to see that both sides are going to be respectful to each other, and at the same time, both sides are going to offer their best talking points. That's why I like the fact that we're going to be waiting till the second week of January to have this discussion, because it gives both sides all the opportunity that they need to gather as much research as they can to defend their position. And I think it'd be interesting if we set it up this way. Actually, I think it would be better if we set up a two-on-two discussion. I've been wanting to do that for a long time. Nephilim Free is actually the one who brought that to my attention. Maybe we should have a two-on-two discussion. And it just seems like not a lot of people are interested in doing that, though. Yeah, this bag is definitely crazy. Okay, yeah, I don't know what's up with this. So yeah, the discussion is going to have to do with what best comports with reality, intelligent design, or evolutionary theory, and abiogenesis. There's a lot of reasons why I framed that title that way. Looks like we got some activity in the comment section now. False, true as always. Okay, we got trolls in the comment section. But I framed the discussion that way because I think that there's going to be a lot of things being brought up that people have not really prepared themselves for. And I already know that when I approach this discussion, I'm going to be approaching it from an angle that he's not going to be prepared for, especially from what I've been hearing in his in the recent hangout of his and on JD Kane's TST today. I think that there's going to be a lot that I'm going to catch them off guard on, and it's not going to be like, well, I'm trying to catch them off guard to try to show that they don't know what they're talking about or anything, or that they don't understand something. It's really just to show that a lot of what people think about science, or a lot of what people think that they know about evolutionary theory, is not really all that legitimate. That's all I want to say right now. Because if I say too much, I know that I'm going to spoil it. So I'm going to try to pull the link out, guys. I'll give it to you here through my browser. This is running really, really slow, and I don't know why. gonna add some people. Just do this right here. You see, I'm never on YouTube. This is the first time I've ever run a Hangout through a tablet. So I don't even know what I'm doing. Just poking stuff. Copy link. Okay. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm going to have to play with that later. But if anybody wants the link, let me know. And I'll send it to you through my Now, it'd probably be better if I just restart this thing too, wouldn't it? Probably what it is. This thing is sitting on for like 3 months. I don't think this thing has been shut off in like 3 months. Alrighty. Okay. Okay. Okay, guys, so I'm not gonna even try to mess with this right now. There's something going on with my computer. I don't know what's going on with it, but hopefully I can get it fixed soon, because this is the computer I actually want to use when I do the debate. And I don't know why it's acting like this. It's a really good computer. And it's actually relatively new. I think we only had this thing like 6 months or so. So I don't know why it's acting like this. But yeah, I know this is probably turning out to be a really boring hangout, guys. I mean, I just got home and sat down and just decided to do this hangout on the fly. Really, after listening to parts of JD Kane's hangout, I didn't watch it all. I probably watched like 3 minutes here, 5 minutes there, because I was skipping around a little bit. But I guess the title of the hangout had to do with whether or not, why is it basically that they find interest in me and they pay attention to me. I think that one of the reasons why they pay attention to me here online is because, really, for the most part, if you pay attention to the guys in our community, like Antonio, he's obviously away. And other people in the community, they, for the most part, ignore what goes on here in our community. Even Nephi, I mean, Nephilim Free, he's been involved with these guys just about as much. I'm at least going to put this chat up here, guys, so that I can try to keep track of your messages as they show up. Okay, so I got you guys up here so I can keep track of your messages, but one of the reasons why I think that they pay attention to me is because I don't really make it easy for them. When they make fun of me, I mean, like the video that I did the other day on the Micah sheets, the Muscovite Micah, and how it's an interconnected topic within the confines of abiogenesis, because it connects, these ideas of proteolipids, of virus stuck in lipid vacuoles, and so on and so forth. It's a very popular idea. And, some of the people who were involved in this, Hannah, and I'm suspecting maybe one of those accounts might be Dragnox. Dragnox was involved, and Sam and some others. They didn't look good. So when that happens, it's not the same. Nephi, he'll do a little response where he'll run through the video and just give his point of view on certain things. But when they carry on, I'll occasionally decide to respond to them, and I'll flip that back on them. So, of course, there's going to be some damaged egos. They're not going to admit to that, but I mean, let's just be honest here. That is really one of the reasons why you guys draw your attention to me. You can't really get away from information that gets put out there that sort of makes you guys look bad. And I think that's just they're not going to say that out loud, obviously, because their pride and ego and all that other stuff, it's going to keep them from admitting that. But that's the truth. That's the real reason why they can't get away from me, because I'm somebody that won't really go away, and they're the type of people that are never going to really stop that type of behavior. They're always going to get carried away. If I ignore them, there's actually, in that one video, I was going to make more responses. The hangout where they were criticizing various hangouts of mine, that little spot where they were mocking me over me mentioning or talking about abiogenesis and how it's unrealistic. There were so many other examples inside of that hangout, and I could have done a lot of other videos on that as well. So I mean, I think that's what really frustrates them, is the fact that, I give as I get, and I don't really go away, and it just kind of annoys them. They'd rather deal with somebody who's gonna maybe participate in discussion, but won't really get on their case when they're making a lot of mistakes and they're broadcasting their gaffes over the internet. It's fun when they're pointing out the gaffes of people in the community, and a lot of times they're not even gaffes that they're pointing out; they're just being petty and trash talking. But it's not fun when somebody takes statements that came out of their own mouth, shows it on camera, and explains why they should be embarrassed about what they just did. So that's the real reason why they have a problem with me. Yep. And that's not trash talk either. That's truth. That's the reality. So that's why I'm going to like this discussion that I'm going to be having with Dragnox, because my intention here is not really to prove that what's already been proven. Obviously, if I give Drag a month of time to do research his responses are going to be a little bit more sophisticated. But to be honest with you, that's not the all right, I don't know how to phrase this without being disrespectful. No matter how much time I give drag, okay, let me start right here. Steve was in the comment section of G-Man's last running hangout, right? And G-Man was talking about this pending debate that's going to be happening. And when Steve was in the comment section, I said, you know what, Steve? How about you go into that room with Dragnock and I debate both of you guys together? Just me by myself debating the two of you guys against me by myself. And I offer that not to be like, this tough guy, this, to sound unrealistic, but really to prove a point that no matter how much information they present, no matter what they think is going to back up their position, let's remove all the trash talk for a moment and all the condescending remarks on who knows what and who knows which. The fact of the matter would be is that regardless of what they've got to say about me, what they've got to say about or how they feel about intelligent design, the fact will still remain that intelligent design doesn't make sense. It does. It makes way more sense than evolutionary theory or abiogenesis. In light of the evidence, the fact of the matter would be that both ideas don't even hold a candle to intelligent design. It's just the truth. And that's why I'm laughing at the fact that Drag is saying he's going to educate. He doesn't debate, he educates. Come educate me. That's what I got to say, man. I mean, just after the last 5 or 6 events that I've confronted and shown over the last couple of weeks, I think he should have learned by now to be careful with those remarks because he's going to have to back them up. But I got a feeling that you guys are going to see a lot of dancing around the bush with Dragnock, and despite the fact that I know that the majority of the people that are going to be watching are going to be atheists, you're going to probably learn something that you weren't aware of before when you listened to me in this discussion. And I'm saying that because I've listened to the reactions of these people and their running hangouts, and I've noticed that even a lot of people in the community that have degrees in science, they don't understand. See, I'm trying to say this without spoiling the discussion because there's a lot of information here that I want to actually get into in this debate. But there's a lot of scientists even in the community, or a lot of educated people in the community, not a lot of scientists. I think there's like 1 or 2 that don't realize that the arguments that they are trying to present for evolutionary theory or how they reason with evolutionary theory is just downright fallacious. And if we were going to be consistent with their line of reasoning, we would have to throw science out the window. That's all I'm going to say about that. But yeah, I think it's definitely something for you guys to look forward to. Don't want to get too involved in what my argumentation is going to be, but there is going to be a presentation. It's going to be probably the first time I've ever really given a presentation in that room, and I think you guys are going to enjoy it. I'm going to make sure you guys are going to enjoy it. Because, most of these discussions that I go into, like the several discussions I had with Redline, the discussions that I had before with Dragnock, I don't know if you guys have followed my discussions with Dragnock. All these discussions I've had here online, I've been speaking from off the top of my head because there's no need to really go and do some research. I mean, for example, Steve recently, the debate that I had with Steve, a lot of the stuff that Steve was talking about was just really silly. And the sad part about that was Steve had like 3 weeks to prepare. And on top of that, he actually went to a lot of the educated people in the community to refine his argumentation. And he did horrible. I mean, I was cooking up some fried tortillas and some beans. I was cooking myself up some food because I just got myself home from work, and they knew this because they were made aware of that. But I started cooking myself some food. I'm listening to him at the back of the room, and he started arguing. I think it was about the Hexamericula cases, I believe it was, and how this was supposed to show evidence for evolutionary theory. Well, no, they didn't show any evidence for evolutionary theory. What did it show? It showed that there was some homology between the proteins. You know, and I'm listening to him, and it's just very interesting that even it's not like I'm trying to say, well, you know what, from off the top of my head, I can. I know something that they should have known. That's not what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say is that the idea of evolutionary theory is so weak, it's so horrible, that from off of the top of my head, you can easily debunk what the opponent is going to say, knowing what they're going to get into before they even start to get into it. Even after your opponent has tried to refine his argument for 3 weeks. That was actually pretty close to a month as well. And having people with degrees and people with education helping him refine that argument. So this is the reason why when you see me talking about intelligent design and evolutionary theory, there's that level of confidence, because at every one of my discussions, I'm never prepared. So when I have this discussion, it's going to be a little bit different, because I already know how I'm going to go about it. And I think that it's going to be a better discussion because it's no secret that I don't speak very proper. I'm not a very articulate person. But if I write down a script, what I know I'm going to say beforehand, and put it down so that people can, at least my opening speech, at the very least my opening speech, and I think that would definitely help to get the point across better, and people will understand why our side is better than the other side. Kalmia Shocktide says that Rodney, when you know stuff, you don't need a presentation. I mean, I don't really need a presentation either. When I had the discussion with Steve, I didn't need a presentation. When I had the discussion with Redline, I didn't need a presentation. When I had a discussion with Dragnock the last 4 or 5 times, maybe a little bit more than 4 or 5 times, I've never needed a presentation because it's not necessary. But the point is that I want to see how far I can go with a presentation. That's what the point is. Because I think this discussion is going to be very interesting, and I hope you guys watch this discussion. Look, we already know how this is going to work out. This is how this is going to go. Okay, we're going to have the discussion. The comment section is going to be overflowed with all these atheist guys and all these evolutionists from that side of the community. They're going to be saying, True's dumb, intelligent design, Dover trial, blah, blah, blah. These are the types of things that they're going to be saying. They're not going to be listening to what I'm saying. For the people who are listening to me now that are actually going to be open-minded, all I ask is that you don't pay attention to what's being said in the comment section. You listen to what I say, and you listen to what Drag is going to be saying. And I have a fair level of confidence that if you do so, if you listen to what I say, and you listen to what he says, you're going to definitely notice that what I'm going to be bringing to the table is a lot more reasonable, a lot more logical, and straight to the point than what Drag is going to be offering. Now, I'm going to be approaching this from an angle, too, that a lot of people aren't going to be expecting. Like a lot of you guys, you've heard me for a while talk about, you know, the midbrain, the high brain, the you know, the axons, the astrocytes, and the action potential with the electrical current that fluctuates through the axon, and I try to compare this to a sort of binary system where after it reaches above 70 negative 70 millivolts to maybe 50 negative 50 millivolts, that it you might have those sodium gates open, and then you can get a reaction after the stimuli in your skin or your peripheral nervous system reaches your central nervous system. It's very similar to a binary system, or more so comparable to a computer, right? So you guys hear me talking about stuff like that, making comparisons to a computer or DNA codes, or the complexity of the Churi groups, or these different levels of codes and information that might cause different protein folding or things like that, like ATP synthase, right? That's probably going to be touched on, but I'm definitely going to be approaching this from a different angle. And I think it's going to be refreshing, because talking about the same thing again and again and again without any added information, it does get a little boring. So hopefully, that's what I'm saying. I hope he really does prepare, and he really thinks about his responses. Because what I'm looking for here is I'm looking for the best cases that he can offer for evolutionary theory. That's what I'm looking for. There you go. Why are you guys' comments showing up right here, but not on my screen? Hopefully not a powerful PowerPoint presentation, because that would be cheating. There's going to be a presentation. I think it's like 70, negative 70 millivolts. That's what it is. See, I have to keep refreshing this here on my computer, the chat, because it won't load as fast as it's showing through the tablet. Yeah, it's my dog. I put my keys behind on the stand, and my dog saw me with them, so he's sticking around just in case I try to go for a ride without him. Watch. Okay, he's not going to do it. He usually howls at me when he sees me with the keys. Yeah, see, now he's behind me. Wanna go for a ride? Go for a ride, buddy. Okay, I'm just playing. Okay, now they're all coming. I'm just playing. Go. I'm just playing. Put it on. All right. Yeah, my dogs like the rides because I got a shepherd, and the shepherd's actually, he's pretty old. Believe it or not, I think he's going on like 16 years old, 15 years old now. So he loves going for car rides, and they like, especially in the winter time, because it's too warm in the house, and I leave the window open for them, and they love that. guy. Come here. Trying to get him on camera for you. This little guy was just dropped off to me the other day. This is my dog's brother's puppy. He doesn't like to be handled though. He's cool with me, but anybody else picks him up, he yelps and freaks out. It's because of my hair. He likes to chew on my hair. So yeah, we're gonna have this debate for sure. I really hope that this debate turns into a 2-on-2 debate. That's what I've been wanting to do for a long time. Just nobody wants to get that going. Yeah, I might keep this guy. The mother doesn't want to feed him anymore, so I've been feeding him the goat's milk. Good girl. Okay, go lay down. Khan Academy? No. Okay, I'll let you down. Because you smell. I used to look into Khan Academy, but it's I saw that video they did on intelligent design. I think they just showed how one-sided they were. And you see, the comments, they stopped. I wonder why that is. Okay. It is actually a good source of information there, but they're just one-sided, I guess. Hannah says that evolution doesn't dismiss the Christian God. Evolution doesn't intend to do that, but its implications does lead people to turn away from the Christian God. That's how it happened with Richard Dawkins, according to, from his own admission. That's why it's so important. That's why it's such an important topic. I mean, we talk about evolution all the time because a lot of Christians realize that if evolution is true, and you're going to be consistent with the doctrine for what the doctrine says about how we got here, then there would be some confliction with the Scripture. So I mean, despite the fact that a lot of theistic evolutionists want to say that you can be a Christian and an evolutionist, and believe in at least a theory of evolution, I don't agree with that at all. Hannah Zebby says, if you cannot reconcile reality with your religious beliefs, you have a problem with your belief system. Right. If reality shows that my beliefs are wrong, and I am wrong for believing my beliefs, I shouldn't make my personal beliefs fit reality. That's why I don't do that. That's why I'm the one who benefits from the fact that reality tends to fall right in place with what I would expect with my religious beliefs. Problem is that that's exactly what theistic evolutionists do, is they try to bend Scripture or rewrite Scripture to make it fit what evolutionists say about reality, because they want to fit in both crowds, and it just doesn't work that way. Science Sam says it's really just a fringe online movement. I mean, not really. I mean, there's really not even a movement online with intelligent design. Argument for intelligent design is fallacious and very dated. No, it's not fallacious. And it doesn't matter how old it would be either. There's a lot of ideas out there that are very old. It doesn't really say anything to their validity. And that is Island News said. Island Online News says evolutionism is cult mentality 100%, and that's the problem with evolution. I mean, that's the problem with Alan Ra, a lot of the big name atheists. They don't look. I respect evolution as a science because it is science, but I don't respect evolution as in the way that it's being approached here on the internet, because you see people like Aaron Ra, even Matt Dillahunty, or Thunderfoot, or a lot of the outspoken people even within our own community. They don't treat it like it's science. They treat it like it's a religion. They dogmatically hold to it. That's the problem with them, you know. I just say that I think evolution is bad science, and there's a lot of reasons, I think, that have just been accumulating over the years that definitely lead us to the conclusion that the idea needs to be reevaluated. Scientist Sam says that I'd love to see them actually published so that we could evaluate their claims. Well, they actually have published. I think if you go to the Discovery Institute's website, they actually have a database of articles that have been published. So you guys can go check it out. These are mainstream science. These are some of these articles are published in mainstream journals, and some of them are published in wherever. But go check it out. It's not personal incredulity. And most art, and let me address what Hannah's saying. That way, I'm not just talking and people assume they know what comment I'm referring to. Hannah's emphasis, the point being, is that this argument is just a series of assertions followed by personal incredulity reasoning. All arguments are basically just assertions, but I guess the question is whether or not those assertions make sense or are logical in some sort of way. They're not some sort of non sequitur or fallacious thought. Ireland Online News says, I used to believe in evolutionism until my mind controlled and brainwashed me raw after school indoctrination. And once the internet was invented, and I could see it for the satanic lie that it is. Well, the interesting thing is that there's a lot of stuff that's actually taught in schools that's just wrong. I mean, the Second Amendment, for example, there was I don't remember who showed it. I think it was somebody in our community. They showed a textbook where they rewrote the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment says a well-regulated militia is necessary for a free state. The right to bear arms shall not be infringed. Obviously, the Second Amendment was written so that we could protect ourselves from invasive government. It was for a free state. It's there to protect us from, corrupt government. But in this textbook, they had rewritten the Second Amendment to lead the students to believe that it has to do with hunting. Who's going to need the Second Amendment for hunting? Who's going to be? At the time, that's what people did. They hunted. That's how they ate. That's how they would feed themselves. So obviously, that's not what the Second Amendment was for. But if you imagine that, that's what happens all the time. I mean, people, they take advantage of the classrooms and they indoctrinate people, the kids, and then as those kids grow up thinking that they were taught the truth, those kids condescend to the adults that are trying to explain to them, look, you are wrong about it. You're being lied to, and this is not what history shows. They've been doing this for years. I mean, for example, we got this idea of the establishment clause in the First Amendment, where Congress shall make no law respecting the establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, and so on and so forth. If you read that amendment, you clearly see that it's trying to explain what Congress cannot do. It's a restriction on Congress, not that people can or cannot worship in public places or use federal buildings to practice their religion. That's not what it's about. It's to protect religious people. So if the government gets involved and says, well, you can't have this in a public organization or on a public street or in a federal building because this is promoting religious belief or activity, and the government gets involved and stops people from practicing that religion, well, they just violated the First Amendment. They violated your right. Congress cannot get involved on what the beliefs are, or the activities of religious people. And we know this to be a fact because when the Declaration of Independence was put together, it tied itself to the Constitution. And George Washington, who oversaw the 55 members who wrote the Constitution, about 11 years after the Constitution was ratified and just put together already, George Washington actually used federal money and used churches to run churches, use federal buildings to run churches. I'm sorry, guys. This happened all the time by the founding fathers, by the people who put the Constitution together. So you got to ask yourself if the founding fathers were doing exactly this, they were using federal money. Some of the founding fathers were actually giving funding to the Kaskaskia Indians, I believe they were, so that they could help them build churches. If they were doing this, and they're the one who put the Constitution together, they're the one who gave us this amendment, then who's right? These people that have been pushing this idea of this distortion of the Establishment Clause these last 60 or 70 years, or the people who actually put together the Constitution and talked about the Establishment Clause. So that's what I'm talking about. History gets changed slowly over time, and eventually, because of how they've changed things, they sort of get to take advantage of what they've manipulated over the years, and it's a sad thing. It really is. And one of the reasons why these atheist organizations have actually been so successful all over the states is because of exactly that. They've been messing around with the Establishment Clause. They've been playing with this idea that, you can't have church here, you can't have religious activities here because, this violates the Establishment Clause, ignoring the historical fact that immediately after the Constitution was put together, immediately after this country was established and our laws were established, the people who put this country together did exactly that. The only reason why the Establishment Clause is there was for the protection of the religious people in this country. That was the entire point. It was for the protection of the religious believing people in this country, so it wouldn't be like it was over in England, where people were being dictated to. That's all it had to do with. It's a play on words, really. That's all it is. But there's a what was it? The Treaty of Tripoli, I believe it was. There's another play on words where it says that we are not a Christian nation. And they stop there. They stop it short of context, and they say, look at Treaty of Tripoli says it right there. We're not a Christian. We're not a Christian nation, or something like that. But if they were to continue reading it, then it's not saying that we're not a Christian nation, but it says we are not a Christian nation that has an inherent hostility towards the Muslim religion. So they're not saying we're not a Christian nation. They're saying that we're not a Christian nation that has hostility towards Muslims. That's what they were basically saying. But that's how it's always been. I mean, the secular side, the last 70 years have pushed their agenda by changing history, by messing with the textbooks over the years, and by duping people. That's what it's been. Through deceptive practices and just, unfortunately, they take advantage of the ignorance of the population, and they get away with it. Because a lot of Americans don't know their own history. Salon, see, right there, secret SAC account. I don't know if this might be an exact quote, I'm not sure, but it looks close enough. He says, Article 11, the government of the United States of America is not in any sense founded on the Christian religion as it has in itself, no character of enmity against the laws, religion, or of tranquility of the Muslims. See what I mean, guys? Yeah, semicolon. So I guess Drag's got a hangout going right now. This computer's going too slow. So these are the type of comments that you're going to probably be expecting in the discussion I have with dragging on. It's just a bunch of trolls that are here playing stupid. Trying to teach you what a semicolon means so that you can properly understand the governing document is trolling. What makes you think I need you to explain to me what a semicolon is? The fact that you're getting on my case over what a semicolon is after what I just said leads me to believe that you probably don't know what a semicolon is. Okay? Why are we talking about semicolons? The point is this: the script that passage. Okay, let me help you here. That passage that you just read from, that those two sentences, those two sections right there that indicated the pause would tell you what. Reread it. See? No, they're not. They're not independent. They're not independent statements. He's trying to express a point. That's the point. Scroll back up for you, okay? So I understand why this guy doesn't like this, because the Treaty of Tripoli is what's actually used by a lot of people on the left, because it's what they've used for a long time to try to enforce this idea that America isn't a Christian nation, which is a stupid thing to say. I mean, the 13 colonies before this country was put together, many of the colonies wouldn't even allow you to be in any sort of office if you weren't a Christian to begin with. This is what their laws were all about. If out of the 55 members who wrote the Constitution, 53 of them were active Christians, and George Washington, even though he had his problems with religion, he was known for having strong Christian beliefs. What in the world would make you think that their ideas? I mean, even the three branches of government came from a connection of with Scripture, with some of the Old Testament ideas of government. So I don't know why you would think in the world. I mean, even if it wasn't in there in the Treaty of Tripoli, why you would think that in any way, shape, or form that America wouldn't be a Christian nation. It clearly is a Christian nation. The people who formed this country together utilize their Christian ideas and beliefs. That's all over. It's all over the place. I mean, you can find it all over the place in history. Many people have credited the Bible for being a strong foundation on how this country was formed together, man. Anyways, when you see that pause between those sentences that we were at, I'm trying to scroll back up here and find it because I'm speaking from off the top of my head. You can clearly see that they're not saying that this country is not a Christian nation. There's a pause, but the pause is to really to help further expound on the issue. We have this, and again, I'm not quoting it exactly, but it says that we are not in any sense a Christian nation that has any hostility towards the Muslim religion. I'm going to scroll back up and find his quotes. But I mean, that just is what it is. No, I don't. you guys want to see a good example of what happens when a secular idea really takes over and tries to get the ball rolling. You look at what happened with the French Revolution. Do your studying, and you'll see that there's a lot of connection there with some of these ideas of relativism or consequentialism. I'm trying to find those quotes that he showed me. Article 11, as the government of the United States of America is not in any sense founded on the Christian religion, as it has in itself no character of enmity against the laws, religion, or tranquility of the Muslims, of Muslims. I should do a video over this. I forget what the slogan was for the French Revolution. Was it fraternity? I don't remember what it was. It was such a long time ago when I got into all this stuff. What the F does the French Revolution have to do with the Treaty of Tripoli? Well, here's what the point is. Treaty of Tripoli doesn't say what you say. So we're making 2 points right now. The Treaty of Tripoli doesn't say that we're not a Christian nation. The Treaty of Tripoli says that we are not a Christian nation. And then it further explains that because we are not we are not a Christian nation that has an inherent hostility towards the Muslim religion, laws, whatever. We're talking about the French Revolution because the French Revolution, if you look at their history and how they went a radically different route than the American Revolution, you can see a very interesting connection with a lot of the ideas that a lot of moral ideas that are passed around by the atheists in the community, like I mentioned, consequentialism or relativism, especially relativism. No, talking about history doesn't mean that I'm a history expert, man. Yeah, but that wasn't the problem. Surgeon says that they went a different direction because they had a monarchy to house. Right, let me put it like this: your overarching beliefs is what is going to have is how you're going to react and behave in the world, and their overarching beliefs that was the foundation for how they began to go about the French Revolution is what was so radically different with what happened in America. Okay, you can do whatever you want with this video, man. I'll leave it up. If you want to respond to it, this is probably not going to be a good video for you to respond to because I'm just, you know, speaking from the top of my head right now. I haven't talked about this stuff in a long, long time. But if you want me to do like a video for you, I can because as I'm talking about this, I kind of want to make a video over this. So I can make a video for you and you can respond to that. That way my points are a little bit more clear and concise, and I can go look into some information to make my case a little bit better for you. Because right here, right now, this is not going to be all that great for you to respond to. And you can, but it's not going to be. There's a lot more that I can say on it. I'll put it like that. But if you want to respond to this while you wait for my responses, it's probably, if I do make a video, honestly, it's probably not going to be anytime soon. So if you want to respond to this, I'll leave this up for you too. Thumbs it down more. Somebody named Thumbs It Down More commented, and I just checked the comments, the dislikes, and it's 24 dislikes, huh? Intelligence can be a mechanism. Well, I guess you'll have to wait for that. Gee, I wonder why they would be asking me that right now. Well, okay. So you want to talk about the detective. No, I'm not going to say anything about that. I'll wait till after the debate. Well, I did call him, and actually, I wasn't the original one who called the detective, but we've been going back and forth with her for the last couple of weeks, and well, like I said, I'm not going to mention anything about it yet. Nah, I'm not going to explain why intelligence can be a mechanism. Not yet. Not going to happen yet, guys. Sorry. How bad is my mic? I'm using the mic on my tablet. This is a pretty good tablet, so the audio should be okay. The audio should be okay. Boy. I could switch to my computer if I have to. I should have actually just started this on the computer because honestly I wanted to make sure that I could get some people in the room. See, this isn't the same as the just using a computer. Yeah, I don't know how to increase the audio here, guys. Sorry. Seems like it's coming through okay on the live. Seems like it's coming through okay on the live. Nah, I'm not going to explain how intelligence can be a mechanism yet. Just wait for the debate. You guys are going to enjoy the debate, I promise you guys. It's going to be an interesting discussion. Because it's not smart for me to give out all my material yet, right? Clearly the guy that I'm going to be speaking to, it's not like, you know what, he's going to learn anything from this. He's not even going to hear what I got to say. He's going to be trying to find ways to discredit me. He's going to be trying to find ways to make me look stupid. That's going to be what his goal is. So I don't think that I'm really approaching somebody that's going to be, open-minded to what I have to say to him. I think he's going to try to pretend and play the part, keep his head up high and try to act sophisticated and like he's, got a good head on his shoulders. But in reality, the guy that I'm going to be speaking to, I don't think he's going to be very open-minded. So there's no point in letting my information out there now, because all he's going to try to do is try to find an excuse around that rather than trying to rationalize it and deal with it for what it is. So you can wait till wait till the discussion happens. Like I said, you guys are going to enjoy it. I gotta get on that treadmill right now, so I'm gonna end the hangout soon. Like tuning one's guitar. I don't know why you guys keep on mentioning that. I don't know why you guys realize that when that discussion happened, if you pay attention to it, when that discussion happened at the very beginning and at the end of the discussion, I ended up. You can clearly see that I wanted to get out of that discussion quick. I mean, I didn't even want to have that discussion with Steve, to be honest with you. I mean, a few weeks before that discussion happened, I even said it in G-Man's hangout that I was probably going to blow him off. The only reason why I had that discussion was because at the end of one of my running hangouts, Hannah came in and somebody else, and they said, well, Steve's getting ready to open up the door for anybody to have a discussion with this month. For me to get a hold of him, and it was supposed to only be for that month. And because I was getting ready to end the hangout, I said, yeah, sure, whatever. But after the discussions that I had with Steve beforehand and afterwards, I didn't really want to talk to him anyways to begin with. So I don't know why you guys are even mentioning that, because I wasn't paying attention to Steve. Who cares? This guy is bringing up the mechanism. He wants me to explain the mechanism. If you watch that discussion with Steve, that's one of the main reasons why Steve lost that discussion, was because when we came into that discussion, it wasn't necessarily Steve's obligation to present a scientific case or a scientific model. That's not what the discussion was about. But he attempted to bring a scientific model and explain that evolutionary theory was a scientific model. In doing so, he failed to explain how evolutionary theory had a tested, legitimate mechanism. So in this way, he failed. He did a bad job. Even the predictions were horrible. And other people pointed this out as well. I mean, J.D. Kane, of all people, you usually never hear him say anything that's in line with what I say, but he pointed this out as well. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I was tuning my... It's not even that I was tuning my guitar. I mean, I was fiddling with my guitar for a little bit. It wasn't a big deal. I actually do that a lot of the times. When I got my guitar right over here by me right now. I do that all the time when I'm doing running hangouts. I fiddle with them even when people are in there and talking. I'm in the back messing with my guitar. And what's more important is that when the discussion was happening, for a good part of that discussion, I was actually cooking as well. What you guys should get from that is that even while I'm multitasking with the guy and not putting a lot of effort into my responses, he's still not able to deal with the responses. Like, okay, if you have a mechanism, if you have a scientific model, that means that you have legitimate mechanisms that have been tested that can explain what you are claiming here. And he was incapable of providing that. That is the entire point as to why I'm bringing this up, that during the discussion, I wasn't paying attention to him. During the discussion, I mean, I was paying attention to him, but I was multitasking. I shouldn't say that I wasn't paying attention to him, but I was multitasking. I wasn't putting a lot of effort into being by my computer. I was multitasking. And that's what I find interesting about it. The guy had 3 weeks to prepare for that discussion with me. 3 weeks. 3 weeks. No scientist, Sam. There's no excuses here. It's trying to help you guys understand a point here. It's sad. Okay? There's no excuses on my side. It's if I am not putting effort into a discussion and I'm multitasking and my opponent still can't answer very easy questions that's supposed to defend his position, why should I take him seriously? What is his argument? How could anybody say that how could anybody glorify the presentation that he gave if there was no follow-through with his presentation? I mean, anybody can make a bunch of claims and assertions, but where's the follow-through with those assertions? Where's the evidence for those assertions? Have we seen none? That's what was interesting about it. But that's what I've always found interesting right there, is the mechanisms of evolution. And not a single evolutionist ever at any time has ever been able to provide legitimate mechanisms for their position. Why are we saying excuses? Where is that even coming from? Excuses implies that there's something that I have to, get away from, or there's some sort of blame that needs to be on me, and I need to get my way out of something. I mean, he doesn't even clarify that, because that doesn't make any sense at all. And the comment section stopped right there. It's been moving steadily, but as soon as I told them to back up what they're trying to say here, it stopped. That was funny. Yeah, I mention that all the time. Gene duplication, horizontal gene transfer, vertical gene transfer. I know all the supposed positive mechanisms, Jade. I know all of those. If you listen to any of my discussions, I know the positive mechanisms, but they all fail. But that's what you guys are all used to. Posit claims all over the place. But you never follow through and deal with what you are supposed to deal with. Ever. Never happened once. So there's all BS aside. spoken to hundreds, probably thousands of you people over the last 5 years I've been here on YouTube. Not a single one of you ever have been able to provide evidence for your position, ever. Not once. Notice that there's nothing of any substance here in the comment section. Secret account says the projection is over 9,000. You got anything intelligent to say? Of course not. Okay. Jade says, would you like to bring up the research done with the evolution of wheat and maize? Both well documented. Explain your position, Jade. And as you do so, you've seen my discussions and you know what my problem is with evolution. There's a specific problem that I have with evolutionary theory. It's 10:28. I gotta get on that treadmill soon. Not now. I know what you're talking about, Jade. I'm not getting into that right now because I got a feeling it's going to be getting brought up in the discussion. But you're not dealing with any of my major criticisms that I've been bringing up for a long time. I'll throw it out there just because I want to see what Drag might say about this, because he's probably watching this, and one of these stock accounts probably is, and letting him know what it is that I honestly, this is actually something important that I really am interested in seeing if some evolutionists out there can do enough research and find something that will deal with this main issue. My main problem with evolutionary theory is whether or not any accumulation of changes or any amount of usages of any mechanisms out there can accumulate to build the specific anatomical features that ID proponents call out. That's what I'm interested in seeing. Because if the claim here is that there are certain patterns in nature that are best explained by an intelligent agent, because those patterns are based on our where those patterns have come from, based on a uniform experience, we understand creators that build those things, and that's basically where the root of the problem lies. If there are several avenues to where systems inside of nature or systems like computers or codes can come from without the influence of an intelligent agent, then that definitely causes a problem with intelligent design. So it's whether or not the mechanisms of evolution can account for the same systems that IT proponents are pointing out. Because you might not even hear a lot of creationists say this, but I'll tell you this, that I'm willing to grant that there's even a possibility of change being able to happen to produce something that we can perceive as being new, but that doesn't solve the problem. So that's why I like coming here on True Talk and making these hangouts, because on True Talk, the majority of the people here on this channel are atheists, or the people from that side of the community. So when I want to talk about the recent events inside of the community, I do it on this channel, because I know that pretty much everybody here on this channel is somebody subscribed to JD Kane's channel, or Sam's, or Drags, or whatever. So, yeah. When I want to get a point across, I usually come on this channel, start talking about stuff. Why is there such a delay? Uh, See, I'm looking at the screen, but I'm not getting. It's easier for me to look at this screen. But I'm not getting the comments as quickly as I am here. And this one keeps fading out on me, so I can't see the comments as they're coming through. I know that there's a delay automatically on the live broadcast. Man, this is different though. It's not only stopping, it's not only having delay, but it's also stopping as well. Gotta keep refreshing it every once in a while. Yeah, I'm being trolled. There's not a whole lot being said here. See what Dragons is talking about, okay, guys?
Will not be around. There has been a request for me and MP and for Atheists to do a hangout and just kind of talk about stuff. And I can say yes, that is in the works. Once we get some time, probably not this week. Probably try to get something together next week, and I'll contact them because I've contacted them and they know of that request because Sam has witnessed what happens when me and MP and folks of our persuasion get together and we have a hangout. It's actually pretty funny, but because we play on one another. But it's we try to add somebody else to that too, just as a wild card, because we all bring a different like perspective to. Sorry. Wait, who the fuck was that? Oh shit! I just realized Sergeant Gibson. Oh wow! Yeah, I know that sock account. I know who that is. I was like, who the fuck is Sergeant Gibson? I just looked at the icon. I was like, oh wow. I've told this.
It's getting boring.
Oh man.
He's not talking about anything. Yeah, guys, I'm gonna end the broadcast soon. There's not really a whole lot going on here, unless you guys got any questions. Quaternary. You guys are still going on about that. A League of Reason forum. Keep in mind that section, that comment from the League of Reason, that binary, which was actually a copy and paste from another atheist that I was going back and forth with over YouTube at the time, by the way. But if you think about it, actually, guanine, thymine, tyrosine, and adenine, there were some people who try to make a case for being the quaternary, or because it's in bases, guanine, thymine, tyrosine, and adenine, usually 2 and 2 go together, but that's not actually always the case. So some people will try to argue it from a binary perspective, and some people will try to argue for it from a quaternary perspective. But of course, you guys don't know that stuff. You guys never know this stuff. You guys just criticize. That's all you guys do. Then I gotta correct you later. But yeah, to be fair, even though when it's in bases, it's not always in it. They're not always going together in bases. The guanine, thymine, tyrosine, and adenine, they're not always together, even though they usually are. So even if somebody tried to make a case there would be a problem. But yeah, that little post that they talk about, which was a discussion that I had on the League of Reason, this was explained already several times already. And what happened was I had a cheap little Boost mobile phone, one of those slider phones, and at the time I did have videos on YouTube, but I didn't have too many videos on YouTube. True Talk TV wasn't even made yet at this time, and I was going back and forth with Alan Rao over the League of Reason forum, and because it was becoming very difficult for me to type long-winded posts over my phone, what I would do, because I was actually going back and forth with another YouTube user over, I think it was on the Atheist Experience, when they had their comment section open, because at the time they used to let you comment on their videos. Now they've disabled their videos, their comment section, so nobody can comment there. But I was having a debate with another person. I would pretty much use the same arguments with people, so I copied and pasted the wrong section, the atheist section, onto the forum, and didn't realize what the mistake was actually till like 8 months later, a year later. So I went back to try to edit it out to fix the mistake, and I put edits on the side so that people would be aware that it was edited. And yeah, so that's basically where all that came from. But like I mentioned earlier about the quaternary, binary or whatever, I've been like, it's one of those things that they nitpick with me, because they try to I try to find something to throw at me all the time, and it always comes back to the discussion I had with Alex Botten 4 or 5 years ago, and that the binary situation. There's really never anything new. I mean, the DNA and water nonsense. I mean, you've seen me come back at that so many different times. There's still a lot of videos that are being made over that, with so many opportunities for me to overturn. And I have actually responded to it in running hangouts, but yeah, they just don't really have too much on me. That's why they keep on going back to the same points. I mean, with me, you notice, like, me just not even a couple of weeks ago, there was another event where I had Hannah, Dragnock, Sam, and the whole list of these guys in a room. They started carrying on about some silly nonsense and trying to make fun of me over abiogenesis. And earlier that day, I mean, Drag was carrying on about doing research for abiogenesis, and they looked bad over it. So I mean, I'm always finding stuff on them, and the stuff that they try to point out on me. There are reasons and explanations for it, but of course they're not going to acknowledge those reasons. It's inconvenient. They got to have something to throw back at me, right? So it's not smart, to be honest, and realistic with events. Hold on. All right, let's go outside. You bothered me before then. All right, guys. I'm gonna end the hangout. I'll leave the hangout on tonight. I'm not gonna remove it as soon as I end the broadcast. But it's probably not gonna be up during the day tomorrow. So if you guys want to respond to something I said here, go ahead. But the one guy who asked me to leave it up so he could respond to what I was mentioning about the Revolutionary War and the Constitution, I think it would be better if you want to have a serious exchange back and forth for you to wait for me to upload a video, because obviously here, this is just like an off-the-cuff hangout. I didn't have any plans on doing. So if you want to wait for the hangout or wait for the video, I think it would be better. But I'll leave the hangout up tonight if you want to hurry up and grab a hold of it. So that's it, guys. Hurry up and take this run. So I'm gonna figure out how to shut this broadcast off.